Okay, for the lighting, we're going to cut the lights. After that, we're going to be able to use our GVM 800Ds to be able to go ahead and use a blue background to complement what will be our orange drink. After that, we're going to be able to use our Aperture 120D to be able to get a daylight for our key light. Then lastly, we'll be able to use a Aperture AL-F7 for our third light to be able to separate our subject from the background. In terms of set design, normally I would shoot in a kitchen, one that's open and has an island, but we don't have that. So we'll just bring the kitchen to the studio. So yeah, here's kitchen stuff. In regards to cameras, we have two. The more shots, the better, because I'm planning to make this a quick yet engaging video. But we can't just leave it there because sound is the next important part. What's a video without sound design? We're going to record much of the sounds that we can, but other sounds like blending we'll grab from online. Okay, so we got the lights, camera, sound with all the props in front of us. Let's do this. Since I'll be using both of my cameras for this shoot, I'm going to use my Insta360 for this part of the video. I use this texture matte to do two things: hide the imperfections of this tabletop and also give some interest to the overall feel of the video. For the background lights, I could use one light to splash the background, but for a more consistent blue light, I decided to keep them both at the sides. The cob light, I decided to bring it closer to the subject for the most flattering and softest look. When it came down to the shooting, I just followed the steps of preparation and just tried to find different angles to shoot them at. Other shots, I had a third person point of view for variety and context. One of the shots I wanted to get was a close-up, a macro shot of the measurements of the blender, the 1500 mLs. But since I didn't have a macro lens, I just used macro adapters, which just turns your lens into a macro lens. I'm satisfied with how it turned out. Other than that, I continued to just shoot the process until completion. As fun as this video was, there are some little hiccups I ran into that you may consider when creating a video like this. The textured matte that I used did not give me a straight horizon. Because it was rolled up and it being the plasticky material that it was, it leaves a curve on the edges. To prevent that, I had to use gaff tape to make sure that the matte was flush with the tabletop so it looks like it was actually marble. Another thing to note, when shooting with food, it's going to be messy. Fortunately, this mat was plastic and I could just clean it away with a cloth. But you gotta be extra mindful about the little splatters and spots that you may leave behind when you're shooting close-ups. You may be able to catch the mess in some shots that weren't originally there before. Lastly, I had two directions to shoot this video: towards the table, top down, and towards the backdrop. Because the studio is not a 360-degree studio where I can shoot in any direction, I had to be very creative. Yes, I present the blender in the center of the table, but for some other shots, I had to put it aside or put it closer to the edge of the table so I could get closer shots like for this macro shot. This is just all part of the fun. As I like to say, creative problems call for creative solutions. For me, one of my most favorite things in the world is Boba, and I couldn't help but shoot something about it. But how about you? What kind of stuff do you like to photograph or record? Don't let all the stands and lights intimidate you. Even without the C-stand in the back lighting the blender and all the objects, you could easily throw another light stand in its place with a standard light. The main takeaway from this video is that once you get your set design and lighting down, you can just shoot at whatever angle towards the backdrop, or top down onto your table, and your image is gonna look good, provided you dialed in the right camera settings, of course. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to ask, leave them in the comments so I can reply back soon, or even reply with a future video. If you're ready to improve by another percent, I have another video over here to teach you something new. Until then, thanks again for watching. Now go out there and shoot for the life that matters. See ya!